Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Literary Lore, although I'm not sure this quite fits the literary lore moniker. You see, today we're comparing Del Toro's adaptation to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I'm pretty sure Lawson adaptation is already being used, so anyway, this will include spoilers for Del Toro's Frankenstein, so if you have Netflix or you sail the high seas, I suggest watching it before watching this. First off, I love this movie. And even though I already gave the spoiler warning, I heavily suggest watching the movie if you haven't. It takes the story in a new direction, and that begins with the frame story. Robert Walton is replaced with Captain Anderson. He's a more gruff and tough captain. There isn't a ton of difference from the more romantic Walton beyond Victor's tale no longer being transcribed. The big difference is the literally more explosive intro. I criticize the slow rolling of the original that builds the anticipation. Del Toro knows that we know the creature's deal, so he kicks off the action way sooner. A major change that may not seem to be that important at first glance is changing Victor's family. No, Ernest really doesn't change anything at all, but Book Victor is essentially worshipped by his parents, and he calls out his father for not steering him in a better direction. He's arrogant, and his god complex stems from a desire for adulation and control. Movie Victor has an abusive father that imprints heavily on how Victor handles his own interactions with his creation later on. His mother is played by Mia Goth, who also plays Elizabeth. I have a ton to say about Elizabeth as her own independent character, but just to touch on Victor's Freudian affection, 1, he has a deep love for his mother, and he hates his father. 2, he carries a porcelain effigy of a pregnant woman. And 3, and I cannot stress this enough, he drinks milk exclusively. Even in the end, when he's stalking the creature across ice tundra wasteland, he has condensed milk among his supplies. Now, before we go any further, am I overanalyzing this film? Definitely. But is there a message to glean from all these minor details? Certainly. You see, we could focus on how his Oedipus complex has arrested his development, preventing him from being able to maturely handle his problems. You see, no matter how smart he becomes, he lacks the social skills to actually meet the tasks that are given to him. We could also look at the vivid color palette the film employs. Victor's in red and black. The creature is identified by white. Elizabeth is mainly green, with Victor's corrupting red bleeding into her palette whenever she gets too close to Victor. His preference for milk could be seen as him consuming or desiring purity. Colors employed by the creature in Elizabeth's wedding gown with a red necklace around her neck, which in the novel is the location of the creature's black mark. There's a lot. But moving on. In this version, William actually lives quite a bit. He's not a little kid. And Elizabeth has an entirely different connection to the Frankensteins as a result of that. And Henry, he seems to have been replaced by Heinrich Harlander. Again, Elizabeth is particularly interesting, so I'm going to focus on Harlander next. He's the exact opposite of Henry. Henry was a romantic enamored with the natural realm. He was oblivious to Victor's evils and capable of pulling his friend out of the horrors in his mind. Harlander, after seeing a demonstration unique to the movie, fully supports Victor. He accelerates the creation of the monster and is a great example of a character that is fully self-seeking. By giving the character syphilis, it creates a time-appropriate problem that also helps to strengthen the impressions we have of Victor. The moment Harlander wants to be put in the monster, Victor thinks of him as a faulty component. A brain corrupted by disease would ruin his creation. It actually reminded me of young Frankenstein, when the creature's flaws were due to an abnormal brain. Beyond all this, Harlander also directly refers to the creature as Adam. On that note, I love the blasphemy in this film, which may seem like a strange statement to make, so allow me to explain. You see, throughout the film, Victor outright says that God was imperfect. His hubris implies he believes he can essentially outplay or outdo God. One of the most prominent examples to me in the film was the line, "It is finished." For those unaware, these were the last words spoken by Jesus during his crucifixion in the book of John. It's the moment that the Messiah conquers death and tears the veil in front of the Holy of Holies. His sacrifice creates a way for all of humanity to gain access to God's forgiveness. Taking that into account, Victor has just finished perverting and subverting the natural order, tearing the veil between life and death. He has committed a horrible atrocity and spat in the face of God. He's a complete inversion of Jesus in this moment. Also, the creature is set up in a cruciform position as well, just to throw more fuel on the hellfire. Now, I love this because we as an audience should be repulsed by Victor's actions, much in the same way that readers of Paradise Lost should be repulsed by Satan. These are the protagonists, but they aren't the good guys. Now, a great and virtuous character is Elizabeth. The hints of her strength in the novel are amplified and set her as a brilliant foil to Victor. In the novel and many adaptations, Victor is rarely called out for his trash behavior because he is a master manipulator. In the film, we see Elizabeth clad in green and the encroaching red as Victor attempts to seduce her. She not only rebuffs his control, but on multiple occasions points out his narcissistic tendencies. By denying Victor the companion book Victor is given from the start, his choice to reject the monster outright could be seen as a reflection of his own misery and insecurities on the monster. Her religious background also provides interesting insights. She recognizes the pure innocence of the creature and theorizes that due to his unusual origin, he is exempt from original sin. Essentially, not being a true member of mankind means he is not stained by the fall of man. Thanks to that little twist, the creature also receives attention from a female character. I watched this movie with my wife. My wife saw it as a maternal bond between Elizabeth and the creature, while I, knowing Del Toro's work in The Shape of Water, thought there was maybe a romantic connection. Considering the Freudian themes, it could be both. The creature being devoid of love in general and faced with this newfound attention may conflate the two from his own perspective, regardless from her actual feelings. The creature, by the way, is incredible. He is the most like his novel counterpart, and the changes to the end are entirely due to the differences in the people that are around him. The first word he's told in this version is Victor. His creator is not horrified of his work and tries to cultivate knowledge. The second word he learns is son, which, again, the theme of warmth and enlightenment, but this has the added bonus of sounding exactly like son. Victor instead grows frustrated with his child's slow learning and the fact that the beatings, for some reason, aren't effective. The explosive twist also disfigures Victor's leg, which gives a better reason for the time skip than Victor's vacation. The creature's tale is also told directly to the captain, which allows Victor to hear his perspective. It matches pretty well, though there are some major differences. The creature is allowed to have an actual relationship with the blind man, and I mean, that's huge! While Victor still saw his creation as property, never giving him a name despite actually taking care of him, the old man does, in a sense, identify the creature. He calls him friend. A friend. Companion. It's the only thing he ever wanted. In the novel, he says that misery made him a fiend, and in this movie we see that the slightest amount of care does affect his decision-making. If you think back to the various victims of the creature in this film, you may notice that he does kill William after he attacks him. There is no Justine to frame, and Victor is the one who inadvertently kills Harlander, and Victor is the one to shoot Elizabeth. Every other person killed by the monster is done so in self-defense. This is as close to innocent the creature can get. We also see his self-loathing in the way he willingly takes the dynamite to blow himself up. This is all to say that the final moments of the film are, well, I have a thesaurus of adjectives to describe the beauty of that final scene, but to convey a shadow of that moment here, after all the pain and suffering, Victor finally admits he's wrong. His arrogance has been weathered away by suffering. A father and son can reconcile, and Victor is able to pass away after his creation forgives him. More importantly, Victor blesses his son in a way that novel Victor never would. If he can't die, there is no reason he shouldn't live. After all of that, the creature, Adam Frankenstein, is a real boy. Fantastic. Now, that last bit, Adam Frankenstein, that's an embellishment on my part. But the themes of identity stay strong in this narrative, even if the romantic aspects have been downplayed. The major theme Del Toro added is that of father and son. Each of the changes to the narrative served to emphasize the familial connections and themes, and I was impressed, to say the least. Thank you guys for watching. I've enjoyed having the chance to gush about one of my favorite stories of all time. Next week, we'll be tackling a poem that is relatively well known, but often misunderstood. Until next time, carpe diem.